support the companies that support our community. So I'm starting out with a piece of maple burl here, and it is about 9 inches across and 6 inches thick. So I got this from a buddy of mine, Mark. Thank you so much. It turned out beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and use a bowl gouge to get it trued up. And I'm just working on the bottom of it right here. Once I get the bottom true, I will turn around and start working my way up it. It's a little bit easier to come in from the bottom than it is coming from the side, and it doesn't beat you up as much. So I get asked a lot in the comments why I don't have a bowl saver, and the only reason is because I don't do a lot of bowls. If I did, that would probably be the second tool I would have bought, a lathe and then a bowl saver. They are fantastic, they save a ton of wood, and they save you a bunch of time. I just don't do enough bowls to justify buying one of them. But yeah, if you want to get into bowl turning, definitely check it out. There's a couple of different brands, and they are fantastic. I would like do some searches. There's a one way, I believe, and a McNaughton one, and I talked to both people on both sides of it. They like both of them. They just kind of went with whatever one they had, but they are fantastic. So now that I got it trued up, just kind of working my way back up it, and that's just a little bit easier than coming in from the side. Once I got it all trued up, start shaping it, and again, I went ahead and cranked the lathe speed up a little bit here. It's about 1,000 RPMs, and I'm just taking some of the material off and working my way from the top down on this to get the basic shape. And then once I get it shaped and the tenon on it, I will take my final pass and go from the bottom up to get a nice clean cut on it. Now that the tenon's done, we can go ahead and put it in the chuck. I'm going to take out the spur center, change the jaws real quick, and we'll get it mounted in the chuck. I brought the tailstock back up just for a second. I wanted to get some of this material off the top of it. It's pretty uneven, so it's not, really running true. I just wanted to get some of that weight off. So I'll leave that up for just a second, and then we'll start hogging this thing out. And again, I'm using the bowl gouge, and the lathe speed is still at 1,000. When you're doing a natural edge bowl like this, or a natural edge anything, when you're doing the rim, just, you can see the ghosting on it, but just take nice light little cuts. You'll see here in a, as I'm working on the rim, it's still pretty thick, but still come way out and just go in, try and keep that tool running straight in, because there's really not like you can ride the bevel or on it or anything. You're just kind of cutting a lot of air right there. Once I got it all cleaned out, I went ahead and grabbed the drill and the sanding pad. So I went ahead and power sanded the whole inside of the bowl. With the rim on this, because it's uneven, you can't turn the lathe on and sand it. It'll sand down certain spots a lot thinner than the other spots, so you have to power sand or hand sand it anyway. So I just went ahead and power sanded the whole thing. I ran through a couple of grits and then switched over to the walnut oil and went up to 600 grit. And once I get the majority of the inside done, I turn the lathe off, even when you're doing the oil, and then hand sand the edges. Once I got that all done, we'll take it out of the chuck and remount it so we can take the foot off. So I used some of the non-skid little pads and a waste block there, and we'll remount it in the lathe. So I still have the little spot for the live center to go right into, so it should true it right back up pretty nice. And for this, I'm going to use the #1 hollower. So I'm going to make a nice little curve for the foot there, and then we will get rid of that tenon. once I got that tenon brought down to a small little nub, I went ahead and dry sanded it with a couple of grits again, and then we'll put some oil on it here in a second. So when I was oiling this too, I didn't get oil, or tried not to get oil on the very bottom of it. So I'm going to have to cut that nub off and sand that. So I was careful not to get oil down in there. Same process here, a couple grits dry, and then switch over to the walnut oil. And again on this too, with those little wings or the rim there, sand as much as you can, then turn the lathe off and hand sand those. Once I got that done, grab the pole saw and cut off that little nub there, and then put the sanding pad in the Jacobs chuck on the headstock and power sanded that little nub off. There we go, I got it all done. So it is just a beautiful piece of maple burl, has just beautiful character all the way around it, and it was just amazing. Thanks again, Mark. Thank you. I really appreciate it. The overall height is 5.5 inches tall, and it is 8 inches across. So yeah, like when I was talking about in the video, when you're doing something natural edge like this, or even off center, if you're doing like a winged bowl or something like that, you need to turn the lathe off and sand these parts by hand, because what happens is if the lathe is spinning and you're holding the sandpaper up against it, it's going to hit the air, your hand's going to go in a little bit, and it's going to, when it comes back to wood, it's going to sand down those spots faster than it sands down the other parts. So you'll wind up with a thin little lip rim right here, and then it'll get thicker. So just turn the lathe off, do it by hand. It doesn't take that long, but it's just beautiful, beautiful piece of maple burl. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. Everybody take care, and we'll see you next time.